In this lesson, we will look at the body's natural rhythm, its body clock, how this is upset by traveling across time zones and by working overnight. Consequently, we need to look in detail at the nature of sleep, sleep planning, sleep disorders, and alertness. First of all, we will look at body rhythms. Many physiological processes in the body undergo rhythmic fluctuations, and these occur whether the person is awake or asleep. Some organs, such as the liver, have their own rhythm or clock called an endogenous clock. But it is important to note that all rhythms are controlled by clusters of neurons called the suprachiasmatic nucleus, which is located in the hypothalamus, a small region of the brain below the cerebellum. The body clock, or body rhythm, is more correctly called the circadian rhythm, from the Latin word circa, which means about, and dies, which means day. This daily cycle lasts about 24 hours in a constant environment, but without the constancy of stimuli, a free-running circadian rhythm runs for about 25 hours. The body clock controls more than 100 rhythms, for example, body temperature, hormone levels, heart rate, blood pressure, and even the pain threshold. Experiments on pain have shown that pain is felt less acutely and that less anesthesia is needed for operations in the afternoon. With regard to body temperature, this graph here shows how body temperature cools at night, and it shows why at night, when your temperature is at its lowest, you are more likely to sleep. It is also why you are more likely to awaken when your body temperature starts to rise after about 5 a.m. Similarly with body temperature, hormones too have rhythms. Levels of the hormone cortisol, which affects metabolism and the immune system, are at their highest when you wake up, while growth and tissue-repairing hormones are at their most active during sleep. Indeed, it is believed that the circadian rhythms originated in the earliest cells in order to protect replicating DNA from damaging levels of ultraviolet radiation during the day. As a result, cell replication and repair mainly takes place during sleep. What then creates this 24-hour cycle? The principal information trigger is daylight, but there are other signals, such as the external signal of traffic noise and the internal signal of body temperature. These signal cues are called Zeitgebers, from the German meaning time givers. They have a similar application in all animals and plants. For example, it is the length of daylight that triggers flowers such as daffodils to all come into bloom almost on the same day. The mechanism in humans for the 24-hour cycle depends mostly upon illumination from the eyes. The retina not only contains rods and cones, with which we are not concerned here, but they also contain photoresponsive ganglion cells, which contain the pigment melanopsin. Melanopsin follows a direct pathway to the suprachiasmatic nucleus, which we mentioned earlier controls the body rhythm. In addition to light intensity, wavelength and color is also important in the setting and resetting of the daily clock, as melanopsin is most efficiently excited by blue light in the 420 to 440 nanometer frequency. The suprachiasmatic nucleus takes this information about daylight and passes it to the pineal gland, which then secretes the hormone melatonin. Melatonin peaks at night to make us sleep, and then it ebbs in the day so we remain awake. Both intense light and melatonin are used to alleviate the various symptoms of circadian dysrhythmia. Examples of circadian dysrhythmia are SAD, or seasonal affective disorder, which makes people depressed in winter, and jet lag, which is what you get after crossing time zones. The importance of sleep cannot be overstated, and we will now look at sleep in a little more detail. The average adult requires about 8 hours sleep, whereas children need a little more, and generally older people need a little less. But whatever the requirement, without proper rest, a person will perform less efficiently. They will concentrate less, make more mistakes, may be irritable, and may become the weak link in any team performance. In addition, any loss of sleep will severely degrade the recuperative and mental organization functions that take place when we sleep. If the loss of sleep is considerable, perhaps because of shift work or from crossing time zones, then the rhythms of the body will be disrupted. This will cause not only tiredness, inefficiency, but it will also increase the risk of accidents and digestive disorders and depression. For example, if one leaves London at midday on the 15th of June on a 12-hour flight to Japan, on arrival the body clock says it's midnight, but it's actually 9 in the morning of the next day. This gives all the wrong sleep cues to the body. Flight crew must therefore be proactive about sleep, rather than regarding it as a disruption to their socializing. One of the main factors to consider is body temperature, and the graph on screen shows how this varies during the day, starting from a low point of 36.2 degrees Celsius at 5 o'clock in the morning to a high of about 36.8 degrees Celsius at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. This change of temperature is known as the diurnal variation of body temperature. The desire for sleep is at its highest when the body temperature is at its coldest, and it is therefore far better to try to go to sleep as the body temperature is falling, rather than when it is rising. This means that at certain times of the day, a sleep-deprived individual may find it difficult to sleep. Consequently, it is the timing of one's sleep, rather than the amount of time awake, that is critical in determining sleep duration. What then do we know about sleep? Well, we know we have to sleep because it is essential for maintaining normal levels of cognitive skills, such as speech, memory, and innovative and flexible thinking. Without sleep, those functions degrade very quickly. We also know that the regenerative DNA dislikes ultraviolet radiation and prefers the dark, which equates to having one's eyes shut as we sleep. Although it is not fully understood what happens when we sleep, we can clearly see what happens if we do not have enough sleep. Much research has now been carried out using very specialized equipment. Electroencephalograms, or EEGs, are used to detect electrical activity in the brain. Electrooculograms, or EOGs, are used to detect eye movement. And to measure muscle tension or relaxation, we use electromyograms, or EMGs. When awake and engaged in normal activity, brain waves can be measured at a rate of between 12 and 30 cycles per second. The electroencephalogram activity is fast and desynchronized. These are known as beta waves. When awake, but relaxed and with one's eyes closed, the electroencephalogram activity falls to between 8 and 12 cycles per second. These are known as alpha waves.